Michael, is that you?
There are so many stars visible in New Mexico.
Wait, Jimmy, what?
It's time to break down another Better Call Saul episode in order. This is many people's favorite episode, and hopefully I don't ruin it for you when I point out a structural flaw. That's one of 112 details you might not know in the season 4 finale.
Winner.
My name is Kenneth Kazanjian, partner with the firm Reeves & Green.
We know Reeves & Green.
Is it Rich Schweikert? What did Reeves & Green get?
It's one of the few law firms we find out about in this universe, although there's also this one from Breaking Bad. And we can add...
Anderson, Field, and Wright.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Charles McGill, senior partner at Hamlin McGill.
Chuck's back.
Chuck was alive, and now he's dead, and now he's alive.
There are more than 3 pairings here, but it's not surprising that the McGills are number 3. We're back in 1998, and Chuck looks completely sincere vouching for Jimmy so he can be sworn in as a lawyer.
I stand before you to vouch for my brother, James Morgan McGill.
Double barrel. Boom, boom.
There's Bert from the mailroom. Remember Bert?
I don't remember you now, Bert.
This underscores how Ernie grew from a pair of throwaway characters that might have been a Sesame Street reference into a beloved larger character, and that was due to how much the creators liked the actor. Just like what happened with Crazy 8, Jesse, Hector, Bill, Irene, Captain Bauer, and the film crew.
I have the pleasure to stand and vouch today for Francis Yu.
Diane's line was cut, but she's from the law firm of Bremer and Bremer, and you can still see her name in the credits. Ernie's love of animal ties continues, this time with fish.
But now I'm only falling apart.
You are singing that with me.
I'm not doing Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm gonna do one by myself.
The director did make John sing off key and off rhythm. Last time he revealed he's a good singer. Assistant editor Joey Reinisch was responsible for creating the karaoke videos with funny on-the-nose graphics, although we didn't get to see much of it in the episode.
Ernie's really going for it.
Yes, he is.
Yep. Oh, Chuck's gonna bail.
This was filmed at the Monte Carlo Steakhouse, whose entrance gives me Fantasy World vibes. You can see the name on the wall here. The script called for balloons shaped like gavels and scales of justice, but they were more modest with their customized balloons. Of course, law-abiding blue is the theme.
The guy never has any fun. I was hoping tonight he might, mingle with the lady folk.
He will, when he's ready.
Whether it's divorce or separation, this pinpoints 1998 as the year their marriage ended. He is still wearing his wedding ring, a pretty good sign he's not going to mingle with the lady folk. Maybe that's intentional? When Jimmy
Past the bar?
Shortly before this, Chuck was not wearing his ring. But then he's still wearing it the following year when his mom dies, but maybe he was hiding his divorce from her. Or these are just continuity issues with no good reason.
Pick a good one. Not from this decade.
And something that fits the episode title, please.
Hey, buddy, you're not leaving already, are you?
Jimmy, it's been great fun. Really, it has, but I've got early meetings.
10 more minutes.
The pennants for the Lobos, UNM's team, are...
Not from this decade.
For those of you tracking cons in the show, here's Jimmy's best one, conning Chuck into having fun.
I'm up next. You're never gonna forgive yourself for missing it.
All right, Jimmy, I'll stay.
Great.
A little while.
This is me.
I don't want to talk.
Getting permission to use this song was Thomas the music supervisor's biggest challenge, as ABBA is very protective of how their music is used.
No, it's hurting me.
It's important to them that it's used respectfully.
I played on my car.
They're not making fun of the song here, just Jimmy's singing ability. ABBA handpicked the creator of the custom karaoke version and the Muzak version we heard in Pinata.
Start McGill, everyone! Let's hear it! The winner takes it all! That's you!
Is Jimmy's terrible singing part of the con to get Chuck to jump in? We have heard him sing better than this.
If you like making love at midnight.
Editor Chris did purposely choose the worst takes and even tweaked individual words to make it funnier.
Loser standing.
Yes! Let's go!
It worked. In the mirror, we see brother chumminess that doesn't quite match the rest of the performance.
Building me a home. Thinking I'd be strong there.
That almost sounds like harmonizing.
But I was a fool.
Hey, Jimmy's hands swapped again.
I know.
Play by the rules. The gods may throw the dice. Their minds as cold as ice.
Chuck really is better at everything, although Jimmy happily takes a back seat in this case. Of course, Michael McKean is a talented Grammy-winning musician and has a long history of performing. And yes, Chuck likes to show off, but it's not like he was clamoring for the spotlight.
The winner takes it all.
That's it.
McGill and McGill. M&M melts in your mouth, not your hands.
Yeah.
You gotta tell Howard to add another M to the firm. It'll make it more symmetrical, and people love symmetricality.
You're going to need more M's. It is interesting Jimmy assumes he's joining HHM because Howard's talk with him should have already happened the day Jimmy found out he...
Past the bar?
Maybe Jimmy believed Howard when he said.
Let's reassess in 6 months.
Or he figured that Chuck would change Howard's mind anyway.
Come on, just sit down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll do.
That's why God gave us 2 eyes. More pleasant to look at. Nipples. We could get by with one nipple. Am I right?
You may be more right about this than anything you've ever spoken about before.
Thank you, Chuck.
The script confirms this is Jimmy's apartment before he downgrades to the nail salon, and it reveals this is Chuck's first and probably only time here.
For 6 nipples, it's interesting, but I submit to the court it's overkill. HHHMMM. So that's better. HHM is just.
All right, now some water here for you.
Thank you.
It's so late, Chuck decides to stay.
What do you feel like in the morning? Eggs or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Pancakes it is.
Yeah. Good night, Chuck.
Good night.
The winner takes it all.
The loser has to fall.
This whole season has been about Jimmy dealing with the loss of Chuck, and the teaser shows he did lose something meaningful. Writer Tom Schnauz said the idea of this scene is that we're witnessing the best moment they ever had together. And yet, the song is about the end of a relationship and the heartbreak that follows. The scene ends with the desirable symmetry Jimmy was just talking about. This shot makes me think of 3 other shots in the Breaking Bad universe. I'm not one to interpret the crawl space shot as the death of Walt and the birth of Heisenberg, but there is an interesting case to be made that this winner shot could be signaling that the death of Jimmy and the birth of Saul will be coming soon, although certainly not in the moment on screen.
But I was a fool, playing by the rules.
This is the longest Breaking Bad universe episode yet, which helps explain why it has the most number of details yet, and they cut many things to keep it only at an hour, which you'll get to see later. The episode, as written and filmed, did have a major structural problem that co-writer Tom Schnauz admitted was a mistake made in the writer's room, so it's not just me nitpicking. The Jimmy side of the plot was supposed to take place over a week, whereas the Mike and Lalo side happened all in the same day except for one scene at the end, so interleaving these 2 stories didn't really make sense. The original plan, which you can still see in the script, was to rewind and repeat footage we've already seen every time we switched from the Jimmy plot to the Mike and Lalo plot to signal that it's a time jump. The episode was edited this way at first, but the result was weird and slowed down the story, so they found a different solution. By moving one scene, they were able to put all the daytime scenes together, followed by all the nighttime scenes, pretending that both sides happened in one day. It works because there's never a single cut that doesn't make sense. But if you stop to think about it, all of the Jimmy plot happening in the same day is pretty unrealistic. I'll point out every time this change results in something weird. It also retroactively means there is almost a 2-month time jump between the final 2 scenes of the previous episode, because that much time passes between Jimmy's reinstatement hearing and the anniversary of Chuck's death. They were really lucky they could make this change though, as the reading room reception was supposed to be an evening event, but it turned out the venue didn't allow them to film at night. They did also flip the order of these 2 scenes for an unrelated reason, which we'll get to. And now here's the only rewind they left in the episode, repeating 7 seconds of Wiedersehen to establish that we're picking up right where we left off, which feels completely normal because they've done this before.
He doesn't have his passport, so he's probably not headed to the airport.
Maybe if Gus didn't do the bare minimum Mike asked for,
5 guys, minimum.
this might not have happened.
You 2 head north and south, see if he's got his thumb out. You 2 go to the train and bus stations and use the cover story. You stay with the crew. You keep him on lockdown.
Got it.
Mike's supposed to be dialing 411 for directory assistance, but the tones don't match.
I need the number for travel wire. I arranged for my wife to wire me money from Frankfurt, Germany. She didn't tell me which branch. Marguerite Ziegler?
When sketching out this episode, they had already settled on the name Werner instead of Fritz, but his wife was named Gerda.
Albuquerque branch on 4th, I should have known.
Right after this was a scene that never got fleshed out in the script because the story was too long. It went something like this. Lalo wanted to visit Hector. What'd he say? He didn't let me hear. Then he led me to Pollo's. I didn't get a chance to alert anyone.
We're not here for the chicken.
He wanted to see where the pickups were made, then shake down the dealers. Where's he now? I don't know. We're supposed to meet for the count. Do better. He's smart. He'll know if I'm tailing him. And then it cuts to this.
Jesus, you used your own voice?
Because this was cut, this is a nacho-free finale. Wow, Jimmy's mourning? This was filmed at the Santa Barbara section of Mount Calvary Cemetery, and the John Lynch headstone is real.
Watermelon pickles.
Oh, Jimmy seems to be working on his sincerity pass. This is a phrase sometimes used by background actors to simulate conversation. With a birth year of 1944, we get proof that Chuck was 16 years older than Jimmy. But it feels like these kids were closer in age. And if this really is a photo of the 2 of them, it's way too close in age. The Slip and Jimmy series got it right.
1001, 1002, 1003. Oh, hi.
It looks like Bob's makeup rubbed off on his shirt.
You are Chuck's brother?
That's right.
We knew Chuck back in our time with the Native People's Education Council.
That was mentioned in his obituary.
Today was the anniversary.
I can't believe it's been a year.
This reminds me of
A year ago, and I got got my diagnosis.
Seems like longer.
Although in real life, this did air about 1 year and 4 months after Chuck's death aired.
We saw the notice about the law library dedication this weekend.
This is a weird line, revised timeline or not. It's Sunday, March 28th. If the dedication is later today, you'd think he'd just say this. But even with a longer timeline intended when the line was written, who says this weekend on a Sunday for something 5 to 7 days away?
Still doesn't make any sense.
God bless.
Bless you.
The boo-hoo hears were improvised.
Hey, need some water?
Coffee. And give me one of these bear claws.
Here's craft services to feed the background actor.
Pace yourself, though. It's gonna be a long day.
You can say that again. It's going to feel like a whole week. We've got another elaborate con from Jimmy and Kim.
We got customers already. That's a good sign.
This episode was co-written by Tom and Peter. Tom wrote the beginning and end, and Peter wrote the rest. And this is the only Better Call Saul season finale not directed by Vince or Peter, although as I mentioned last time, it was going to be directed by Vince before he had to take over directing Wiedersehen. Instead, this is the 12th and final Breaking Bad Universe episode, directed by Adam Bernstein, which puts him only behind Michelle MacLaren and Vince, who each directed 14. Although I guess Vince gets the tiebreaker with El Camino.
How'd it look?
How'd it feel?
Felt like I looked sad.
They cut this part with a judge driving up in a Dodge Viper, which is a shame because they could have approached Dodge for an even more wildly inappropriate product placement. The way this scene starts is the reason they swapped the previous 2 scenes. After removing Nacho's scene, it went from Mike's crew outside the warehouse to Lalo spying through binoculars, and they were worried viewers might be confused and think that Lalo was watching Mike. I think the swap is better anyway, because after the title sequence, it feels right to pick up where last episode's cliffhanger left off. Recall that the chicken farm was torn down during season 4 of Breaking Bad, so this is all digital. This shot is actually 3 pieces. There's the blank empty outdoor shot, then the digital farm, then Tony's in front of a green screen. And this location is nowhere near where the chicken farm used to be. They chose it simply because it's close to the hotel where they'll be filming later. We see a couple visits from Victor's black Escalade. Several people think Lalo's singing The Winner Takes It All here, but it's this song. Based on the red lenses, the view from the binoculars should be more washed out with a bluish tint rather than the perfect shots the show depicts. These 2 guys were the men behind the tracker in season 3, although Thomas no longer has his hair. This is once again a Gus body double due to Giancarlo's broken foot. Victor does a good job of hiding his face, but we do get a glimpse of the imposter. Here he looks pretty convincing though, even his hair this time. We finally get to see Travel Wire, the company foreshadowed on the billboard in 2 prior episodes. This is a fictional store. It was going to be a Western Union, but they wanted no part in this. More on that later. The writers proposed a lot of different fake names until this one was finally cleared.
Can I help you?
Werner Ziegler. Has he been in here in the last few hours?
It's not company policy to give out customer information.
He's hard to recognize, but this is comedian James Austin Johnson, who later became well known for his impressions on Saturday Night Live.
People are saying that what I've done so far has single-handedly helped win people elections, mostly in Canada.
He is my brother-in-law.
This pen keeps moving and disappearing throughout the scene.
He has early-stage dementia. On top of that, he's a diabetic. He doesn't have his medicine. I have his insulin in a cooler out in the car.
Look, yeah, he was here. He left about an hour ago.
Oh, just took the money and left.
Well, not right away. He made a couple calls on the payphone. I think one of his calls was for a cab.
Any chance that I might have a peek at your security videos, see who got him?
I get it. Not company policy. Could you tell me where the nearest hospital is?
He asked if his money came.
You mind?
Oh. Oh, that's bad luck. He can't see the car.
Thanks for your help.
They turned Oasis Vape into Oasis Tanning Salon.
Can I see it?
Because of a scheduling issue, they had to shoot these Gus shots elsewhere. They angled the camera so you just see a blue sky out the window, but it didn't look right. And they forgot to film just the background to swap in here, so they ended up stealing footage from what they happened to shoot. Behind the car, director of photography Marshall Adams just stacked some apple boxes so they looked like buildings while they're out of focus. In 2 different frames, we get a peek of a little bit of Werner's letter.
For what it's worth, I believe him. He's not gone to any cops. This is about him wanting to see his wife, plain and simple.
She's on a Lufthansa flight, landing in Denver 9 hours from now.
And your men will be there. And then? If I can find him before the wife gets here, let me bring him in and finish what he started. His crew can't do it without him.
How much of that is true versus Mike just wanting to protect Werner and his wife?
If Ziegler disappears, you are left with the most expensive hole in the ground this side of the Mississippi.
That's not true, Mike. It's the superconducting super collider in Texas, which cost $2 billion by the time it was canceled in 1993. And it's funny that this won't be the last time Gus hears this argument.
All you'll have left is an $8 million hole in the ground.
You can find him.
This is on me, I'll fix it. You get everybody back in. Find out who picked Ziegler up and start calling hotels. Pull the transcript on the last call to his wife.
Editor Chris stole this shot from footage where James was listening to the director, and it was never meant to be on camera. The script had suggested a pamphlet for Taos.
Taos is #1. I love a ski trip.
But instead we get
Cowboy.
Although this is dated 2018, the year this was filmed. Add another pack of wolves to the counter. The more I stare at this, the more duplicates I find, like it's one of those match games.
They were gonna go on vacation. Baden-Baden.
They want to go to the springs at Baden-Baden.
Natural springs.
Mike grabs 4 pamphlets. 3 appear to be fictional places, and one's a real spa resort that is somewhat close to Taos.
Hey there, find your brother-in-law? Is he okay?
I'm a bit surprised he didn't grab all the spa pamphlets, although Peach Springs is over 6 hours away and Azul Springs is fictional, so maybe he knows it's also too far.
I'm calling for one of your guests.
Con el amo de la plaza hay que tener más cuidado.
I won't lie, it's been a tough year.
Howard! We haven't seen him since episode 6, now 11 and a half months ago in Universe.
But I'm proud to say Hamlin McGill is back and going strong.
Jimmy's pep talk worked.
Get out there and sell.
The script had the rule of 3s here, but instead we jumped straight to the main man. And in the early outline, number 3 was going to be Kim, and Howard wasn't going to enter until later.
I know this would have meant the world to him. A good memorial for a man who was many things, but always a lawyer first.
My brother is a lot of things.
On behalf of the whole school, we want to thank you.
No, I didn't donate any of this. I am just a guest.
The invitation says anonymous donor.
I assume that meant HHM.
There's that longtime HHM lawyer popping in for a quick bite. And here's everyone's favorite lawyers, Cordova and Linton from Davison, Maine. I guess Cliff couldn't make it.
I happen to know Mr. James McGill paid for the reading room himself.
Ernie was going to be one of the servers and deliver this line, and Drama Girl was going to add in that Jimmy didn't inherit any money.
Really? The brother did this?
It's a little weird to call him the brother when Jimmy was the one who worked for you.
How much do you think this costs?
Hi, Rich.
Hey, looks like half the attorneys in the Southwest are here.
And Fudge was going to be in the crowd, which seems like a risky choice.
Public masturbation.
I heard someone say that Jimmy paid for all this himself.
He'd prefer to remain anonymous.
Where is he? I was hoping to say hello.
So dramatic.
Even a year out, an event like this can be tough.
I better go check on him.
This was filmed at the National Hispanic Cultural Center, not really part of UNM.
I can't believe I wrote a $23,000 check for this.
Originally, the amount was $40,000, so Jimmy got a bargain.
I don't even see anyone from the Bar Association in there.
We still have almost a week.
That fits just fine with the revised timeline and could mean that Jimmy's appeal is on April Fool's Day.
The board will hear about this, and they'll believe it because they heard it from a colleague.
It's probably not a surprise, but this maneuver was not planned. Ray was just reacting to the rogue ash.
Who cleans up your messes?
It looks like Jimmy's wearing the same outfit from the cemetery, just a different tie, which I suppose is still reasonable.
Try this on for size. Judge Papadoumian is in her chambers.
There's our second Papadoumian mention in Better Call Saul.
She smells something. Something burning. Crosses to her door. A wall of flames. A figure emerges. It's Jimmy McGill. I rescue a judge. Now that people are going to talk about.
Yet again, he could subconsciously be thinking about saving Chuck.
And it's too big.
The script acknowledges the similarity to his story in Kashada, although nothing more.
And probably it's not how I come back from insincere.
Okay. As my finale gift to you, I will count Kim's notable okays that I feel are worth pointing out. Back here, you can barely see an elaborate set of posters the art department put together. Here's a clear shot of one of them, later shared by Tom Schnauz.
Want to go back in? Get your money's worth?
Those little hamburgers are looking good. I'm too sad to eat.
This funny line was changed even though it was one of the first lines they built the scene around. Here's where the first cut rewind would have been since it's a transition back to Mike.
Z-I-E. G-L-E-R. He is. No, I don't need to talk to him right now.
He's really being towed by a vehicle with a lot of crew along for the ride. And here we see they're driving right outside the National Hispanic Cultural Center where the last scene just was. In the show, you can also see Lee's electric motor repair, which is just down the road. That's a Nissan Frontier from the future, and if you replay the scene, it's unclear where it came from all of a sudden. Who needs a gun when you're Mike Guyver? And because he subverts our expectations and doesn't use the gun here, it becomes a rare Chekhov's gun that's actually a gun due to later events in the episode. Of course it's unavoidable, but this area is filled with cars from the future like this Nissan Maxima.
What's he up to, man? What's he doing?
What is he doing?
You gonna gum me to that, huh, geezer?
They call this guy Nolan in the script, and he was originally going to be carrying Hobby Pros bags, which is a real hobby shop in Albuquerque. Here you can see that's not Tony Dalton. It's convenient the north gate only has an exit, unlike the south gate where they enter. The script explains the first hour is free at this lot, which is why he doesn't need to pay. Mike's watch says 12:47, implying the reading room dedication is at lunchtime, and Jimmy's long day at the cemetery was really just a long morning, pun not intended. This is such a perfect Mike scheme. Low tech, plus his former job has probably caused him to think a lot about parking lot ticket machines. This was shot on a different day on a stage, and it's not really gum but a kind of slime being spit out of a tube. Peter thinks the gum thing probably wouldn't work. There's also the question of whether the machine would try to accept a ticket while the gate is up.
Get out of the way, go! Sorry, it's just not working. I'm at the north gate and the machine is stuck.
See the reflection of the crane holding the camera. I feel like I should see more frantic activity from Nolan back there, but I guess he's in shock. Wow, I've missed those light thingamajigs, although why are there only 4?
You got 5 of these light thingamajigs.
And what are you doing here, Cisco Aeronet 3700 series access point from the future? Actually, they've been here all along, even in flashbacks to the early 90s, but I failed to spot them. There's Sir Francis, but he's the only familiar face besides Jimmy and Howard. And this new addition to the conference room.
I stand before you to bear witness.
The art department created this by painting on top of a photo.
All right, if everyone's ready.
Just pretend I'm not here.
This is Duncan Springer. He's a senior from Mayfield High School in Las Cruces.
We're now seeing the result of
a scholarship for deserving youth. I was hoping Jimmy would agree to serve on the board.
I don't know if Jimmy was able to line up the timing of this to be a part of the scheme, but I guess it makes sense it would kick off a year after Chuck's death.
His model UN delegation was selected to visit the real UN in New York City. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, it was...
This is Marcy Ramirez. She's captain of the debate team. What's your strategy going to be, Marcy?
I think it'll...
This is Franklin Pickett.
The hilarious jump cuts that interrupt each candidate counts as one of the rare music-free montages.
He wrote a play. What can you tell us about your play? It's Theodora. How did you get interested in Ethiopia?
Well...
Christy, what's it like working with elders?
It was...
She's the only candidate wearing anything close to criminal red. You can see many reasons why Christy resonates with Jimmy.
Raymond, how'd you manage that?
Howard's writing seems awfully neat for taking live notes.
Can I let them go?
Did they all get the...
Yes, they did.
Great.
Jimmy and Howard both changed their outfits.
Raymond Chen, 6 votes. Duncan Springer, 6 votes. Marcy Ramirez, 5 votes. Franklin Pickett, Theodora Moon, Tristan Bolger, 3 votes each.
We never get to meet Tristram.
And Christy Esposito, 1 vote. We have 3 scholarships to give. I think we can... Jimmy?
The 1 vote for Christy Esposito, that was me.
It's unclear if her last name was chosen as a nod to Giancarlo, but I do know that originally Christy's name was May.
I think we should give her another look.
Esposito. That's the shoplifter.
The shoplifter. Right, that's right. She was new in town, she made some bad choices. Her grades are good, and her recommendations are solid. Her essay is really good. Someone who doesn't have a perfect record and faced the consequences. Maybe she brings something that the others don't.
Jimmy, you make a hell of an argument. How about we take another vote?
We don't actually know if Christy got any more votes the second time. It's more subtle than scripted, but you can see the other kids leaving with a parent going to their cars, contrasted with Christy walking alone needing to take a bus.
Christy, Mrs. Esposito, Jimmy McGill.
Oh, hi.
You didn't get it. You were never gonna get it.
Never! A scholarship that Chuck never in a million years would have given to Jimmy.
Marcy and her mom warped backwards.
They knew what they were gonna do before you walked in the door. You made a mistake, and they are never forgetting it. As far as they're concerned, your mistake is just, it's who you are, and it's all you are. And I'm not just talking about the scholarship here, I'm talking about everything.
Bob said he's talking to his 20-year-old self.
They are never, ever letting you in.
Jimmy conveniently forgets that in spite of his background, Davis and Maine did let him in because of his hard work on Sandpiper.
They're aware of his background?
How exactly did I mistreat you? We gave you opportunities, encouraged you to excel. You never gave this a chance.
The nice gray suit he's wearing is one of the ones they paid for.
It doesn't matter. You are not going to play by the rules.
But I was a fool, play by the rules.
They're on the 35th floor, you're going to be on the 50th floor. You're going to be looking down on them.
From the 50th floor, she'll even be looking down on Huel.
40th floor.
You are going to cut corners.
I know he cuts corners.
And you are going to win. You don't matter all that much to them.
You've never mattered all that much to me.
So what?
I like this thought that Jimmy's trait of repeating what other people say, intentional or not, shows how much people's words leave an imprint on him.
Remember, the winner takes it all.
Although that one surely was intentional, and he'll keep holding on to this idea.
It's the way of the world, kid. Go with the winner.
I've gotta go get my bus.
You understand what I'm trying to tell you, right?
I think I do.
Abby, the actress, said Christie's mainly feeling confused, like why does he even care about her that much to give this impassioned speech?
All right, go get her.
He's giving her a wolves and sheep moment, although we don't know if she took his advice to heart and if she'll go on to become a lawyer. Although in real life she'll go on to act in a movie with Bob.
My Little Women.
We got robbed of a double title drop. There's a nice reminder of Uno and Kim cleaning up his messes from the start. They didn't do the distorted reflection here, but showing this unchanged after so much time is just like this moment in Breaking Bad. The creators like that even though throughout the season it's hard to know when Jimmy's being sincere, here we know since he's alone and not performing for anyone. So is he finally grieving Chuck? The script hints at it and the original outline flat out says it. Vince and Peter agree and like the idea that him referencing The Winner Takes It All reminded him of their best moment leading to his breakdown in much the same way that hearing the song at CC Mobile led to his mini breakdown. But Bob's interpretation is mainly that he's crying because the scholarship board drove home the realization that the world will always view him as an outsider the way they view Christie, and he has once again lost hope in his appeal attempt.
That's what makes him cry, is that he died in that moment.
Which means, even though we don't see it yet, right here in the bowels of HHM of all places, is the moment Jimmy McGill becomes Saul Goodman. And with the idea of people's words leaving an imprint on him, what if Kim's line,
Jimmy, you are always down,
is what led Jimmy to believe he needed another persona who isn't? And now if it's Saul Goodman taking the wheel, Jimmy truly is always down. If Jimmy McGill died here, it's also fitting that his Suzuki Esteem temporarily died, as it's natural to view it as an extension of his character. While they were filming in the garage, they set up a fake CC Mobile so they could get some additional shots needed for earlier episodes. Bob's hands were going to be in the shot, but he banged up his hands so much from whacking the steering wheel that he couldn't do it. CC Mobile doesn't have physical stores or real salespeople because it's a fictional company. This video's sponsor, Mint Mobile, doesn't either because they reimagined the wireless shopping experience, making it easy and online. It's premium wireless without the premium price tag. Stop overpaying for wireless just because that's how it's always been. Mint exists purely to fix that. For a limited time, they're offering a 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month. And all their plans include unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the UK, and hotspot included. Like Saul's Toe in the Water package or premium package, Mint introduced the concept of bulk buying to the wireless space. So the more months you buy up front, the more you save. You can sign up and activate in minutes with eSIM from the comfort of your home. 96% of users rate themselves as highly satisfied with Mint's customer care. I've recently switched and I've been thrilled with a fast, reliable service, not to mention all the money I'm saving. And all plans come with a 7-day unconditional money-back guarantee. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/BetterWatchTV and use code BetterWatchTV at checkout. That's mintmobile.com/BetterWatchTV. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra, see Mint Mobile for details. We're back to the Lalo/Mike story, and here's the repeated action we were originally going to see.
Can I help you?
My friend was here earlier. Bald fella? About so tall?
A bald man worried about his missing brother-in-law. Am I watching Breaking Bad?
Did they find his brother-in-law? Is he okay?
No.
He's a quick thinker.
I was wondering if there's maybe something that, my friend missed.
I showed him everything I've got.
Show me what you showed him.
I can't. I'm sorry. You better just call the police.
Sure.
Travel wire, this is Fred.
12 seconds later.
Here's a scripted hidden detail. Lalo has already flipped the sign to closed on the front door. He disappears in one seamless shot, but they cleverly didn't show us the sign at the start of the shot. He used the soda machine to get up there. Although there's some compositing here, this is a stuntman who really did jump down from the ceiling with no visual effects for the jump itself and no wires. And for anyone who thinks this is unrealistic, there is a decent amount of prior art here, including at Western Union, which was a big reason they didn't want their name to be used in the show. That real-life event is what Tom Schnauz based this on. I'd say the most unrealistic part is Fred not reacting to the loud noise. I know Mike has his passport, but I find it odd he wouldn't also have his driver's license. And what type of pet do you have, dog, is the worst security question I've ever seen. Why not ask the name of your first pet? We see just how dangerous and unhinged Lalo is. He really is a Salamanca.
We're closed!
Earlier, he put his phone away with his right hand and took out the pamphlets with both hands. But here the phone remains in his left hand. In the script, we weren't going to see his body, but we were going to see Lalo burning the place down. Instead, it's a deleted scene cut purely for time. This is the fictional Dulce Vega Hot Springs Hotel and Spa, which was indeed one of the brochures. That's a choice, but he was probably shopping in a hurry.
Mr. Werner Ziegler?
Oh, yes.
There's a call for you.
Oh, your wife's calling?
My wife!
Liebling, bist du schon gelandet?
Is this Werner?
Yes.
I'm calling on behalf of Gustavo Fring.
The work will go on. Ask Michael.
Michael.
He's being towed just like Jonathan Banks was, although they added some shake to the camera to make it look like he's going faster.
Michael's very busy. Do you remember what your instructions were?
Finish clearing the debris, then begin the south wall.
That's the south wall?
The south wall? Yes. The concrete is standing by. They can start pouring.
Kai will not...
Sorry, I didn't get that last part. Could you repeat that? Werner? Mr. Ziegler? Michael? Is that you?
I'm so sorry.
Get dressed.
Michael.
I don't want to hear another damn word out of you.
With that mysterious man presumably on the way, I don't think I'd give him time to get dressed. Mike and Werner's watches agree that it's almost 5:30, so it's fitting that this ends this episode's long stretch of daylight. It's also intentional, as the second hand on Werner's watch never moves, and it's realistic, as sunset was 6:25 on this day. We've reached evening, and the scene that originally was going to be shown right after Jimmy's breakdown.
Hey, I think I got something here. The law... Plans, then remorse, then brother, then legacy. Everything okay?
Yeah.
We can work on this. I know it's a lot, but this is one time you do not want to wing it. Jimmy, the hard part's done. Reading room, scholarship, cemetery. By now they've got to have heard about some of it.
This is another weird line if this is now all one day.
I can say whatever I want. To the board, I'm still that guy.
That line was written as I'm still Jimmy McGill, which has an interesting connection to the reasons behind his breakdown, but Bob asked to change it.
Well, you gotta say something.
What if Chuck does the talking for me?
The words on the page do exactly match what Jimmy read to us in episode 3. The script specifically calls out that Jimmy kept Chuck's letter in the time machine, but for some reason they went with the Count of Monte Cristo instead, and I'm kind of devastated, just because I love that book. This is basically going to bookend the episode because he's going to use the letter as a way to have Chuck vouch for him, just like Chuck did to start the episode.
Wait here.
Right behind Mike is the airport, which was a problem because you could clearly see the runway and planes taking off and landing. So Marshall Adams put up some black cards to block that out with some LEDs on them. And I'm sorry you won't be able to unsee this, but you can tell because they're the lights that don't flicker throughout the scene.
Yes.
I got him.
Where was he?
Dulce Vega Hot Springs.
Something else. He was on the phone with an interested party pretending to be one of your guys.
What did he tell them?
Nothing useful.
I said nothing about the construction that would not be true for thousands of others.
I'll bring him in now.
No, keep him there.
I'd go another way.
That I know.
That'd be a mistake.
This discussion serves no purpose.
That's such a good line.
Wait where you are.
I don't think he's really on the phone. The whole time we see his wallpaper, which seems to be an animated snowboarder.
I'll take care of it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Producer Diane Mercer said Mike knows it's the only way he can regain Gus's trust, but Tom views it as an act of compassion. It's a more gentle mercy killing to spare him from what Gus's henchmen would do, and echoes of Mice and Men. I also like the idea that it's a form of penance for his mistake. Voluntary torture like the beating he signed up for from Tuco.
God damn it.
No more half measures.
Get out.
By now you know I don't avoid Breaking Bad spoilers, but the rest of this chapter does have some big ones in case you want to skip them now.
I want to know what your end game was. What did you think was going to happen?
I thought I would come back and my friend Michael would be very, very angry. But in time, he would understand and forgive.
It was never up to me.
Margareta will land any minute. Soon she will be at the motel.
Okay, I'm thinking she flew from Denver to Albuquerque. We'll see on Mike's phone that it's 11:19 p.m., which is at least 11 hours after Gus said.
She's on a Lufthansa flight, landing in Denver 9 hours from now.
Even if her flight had major mid-air delays, it would then be a 7-hour drive to the hotel if she landed in Denver.
Please, take me back there. I go back in the morning. What difference can it make?
It's not going to happen.
Let me speak to Mr. Fring.
If I could just talk to Gus, I know I can make him understand.
I will make him understand.
You're not going to talk to Fring. You're never going to see him again.
Please, I know. If
Werner, nothing you can say or do will make anyone trust you again.
You made a mistake, and they are never forgetting it.
I wonder if Mike is thinking about Maddie here. Hoffman and Fensky killed him because they couldn't trust him anymore.
I will go home. I will never breathe a word of this ever. The money? I'll give all of it back.
I'll cook for free, and there won't be any more trouble, I promise you.
Please.
Does your wife have a cell phone with her?
Yes.
I need you to call her now.
She knows nothing.
And you need to keep it that way. She's being followed.
She's followed?
She goes back to the airport. Nothing will happen to her.
They could not. They would not.
Pull yourself together.
Give me the phone. I call her now.
Calm down. She can't suspect. It doesn't matter what you tell her as long as she goes back where she belongs.
That is very trusting since he can't understand much German and Werner knows Gus and Mike's full names. It's a mistake he'll later make.
Jesse, do it now! Do it, bitch! Do it fast!
But Werner and Mike both know any stunt he could pull would get both Zieglers killed. So he obeys.
Liebste? Hallo. Ja, es gibt ein Problem auf der Baustelle. Ja, die haben mich zurückgerufen, weißt du? Nein, keine Verletzten, nein, ich weiß, nein. Bitte, hör mir bitte zu. Deshalb musst du zurück nach Hause mit dem nächsten Flug. Margarete, hör mir zu.
And in order to save her life, the man who loves his wife more than anything is tragically forced to be unbearably cruel to her in their final conversation and sabotage her opinion of him.
Jetzt halt die Klappe! Du musst zurück nach Hause. Nein, das kommt überhaupt nicht in Frage. Das ist meine Arbeit, das muss ich machen. Und ich will dich auch überhaupt nicht sehen, Margarete. Ich will dich nicht sehen. Also, fahr zurück nach Hause. Sofort! Jetzt!
This has shades of Walt's final phone call to Skylar.
You stupid bitch.
But so much worse when you consider the different dynamic to their relationship and the fact that Skylar was able to be in on the ruse.
Will she do it?
She was very angry, but yes, she will go home. If she doesn't hear a word from me, she will ask questions. She will go to the police.
There'll be a story, an accident. Lawyers will visit. Her questions will be answered.
Vince loves the phrasing of these two lines written by Peter.
Does you swear?
Yes, I swear.
And my men?
They're going home. They'll be okay. They're trusted.
Except for Kai due to cheating at volleyball.
Is there no other way, truly?
He's the smartest guy Mike's ever met, and now he's not too stupid to see. He made up his mind 10 minutes ago.
There are so many stars visible in New Mexico. I will walk out there to get a better look.
I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air and looked up in perfect silence at the stars.
Just like Mike showed compassion toward his friend, so did Werner. Werner really made this easy on Mike, and it's safe to say his mind was preoccupied as he doesn't even look at the stars. Although Mike does. This scene was shot with a Vericam in its low light mode, although it was impossible to get a shot this far back and have the sky cooperate with visible stars, so the scenery is mostly digitally created. This whole scene is close to the studio, not that far from Kim's accident, where Walt was pulled over, where he drove with his eyes closed, where a Pollo's truck was hijacked, where Jesse was dropped off by the laundry truck, and a flashback scene in El Camino, which is going to be the topic of my next video as I'm following release order. They wisely ended the scene here, but they did film Tyrus and Victor arriving, as you'll see in a deleted scene at the end. So Werner started Gus Fring's Super Lab, and Heisenberg will be the one to end it. Tom said they did view Werner almost like another Walt and called him the smartest dumb guy who doesn't realize who he's dealing with. This whole ordeal likely influences how Mike and Gus treat Walt in Breaking Bad, as they don't want to make the same mistake twice. Although Mike's initial leniency with Walt could be because he reminded him of Werner until he discovered Walt's true nature. They both still underestimate Walt, leading to their deaths. Mike's own death could be viewed as Werner's revenge, and it's interesting to wonder whether Mike was thinking about Werner here. I don't know if Mike was tempted to let Werner escape, but there's no way he could pull it off, especially with Gus's men on the way to get the body. Tom and other creators believe there was a very good chance that Gus could have been convinced to let Werner live if not for the Lalo screw-up.
If Lalo hadn't gotten on to Mike and Werner, Gus's decision might have been very different.
Wow. It's incredible. here it is.
Ah yes, speaking of stars and perfect silence, here's a future victim as a result of the phone call we just revisited. He's got his same notebook from Breaking Bad.
An architectural feat, truly.
Here's a slick Texas swap. Giancarlo with his broken foot elevated remains stationary as the camera moves away, then the body double walks in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly what we talked about.
Jeez, Gale, cut him some slack.
But it has possibilities, even unfinished. I am certain that I could do a rudimentary cook.
Not until it is ready.
Oh.
Gus has to keep reminding him about the Breaking Bad script.
Not yet.
Of course. I am gonna go up and check the... Okay. Oh, hello?
Goodbye, Gale. This is Giancarlo here, but his leg was up on an apple box, so they digitally changed his legs. They intentionally echoed shots from Chicanery, including this one that didn't make the cut. They're dressed the part, completely in law-abiding blue.
Where do you have it?
This should do it. Chuck wrote a good letter, huh?
Chuck wrote a great letter. It's not just the words, though, you know? It's how you read them.
That's true. He better not read them like this.
I'm proud we share the name McGill.
Jimmy, whatever happens in there, I'm with you.
You sure about that?
These are Doritos from the future, and these are Miss Vicky's from the future.
Mr. McGill, all that's left is for us to hear your prepared statement.
I don't have a prepared statement, but I do have this. It's a letter from my brother, Charles McGill.
This committee member is makeup artist Ashley Padilla's dad, and he's a real New Mexico lawyer.
Dear Jimmy, I have left many things unsaid in our relationship through the years. Rather than allow these unspoken thoughts to die with me, I've chosen to record them here for you. I hope you will take my words in the spirit in which they are intended. I remember quite clearly the day you came home from the hospital. You can't imagine the joy on Mom's face. I can honestly say I never saw her happier than she was on that day. I'm sorry that I can't do this. I was going to try to move you all with my brother's eloquent words.
Once again, the second hand isn't moving.
Pull on your heartstrings, but it's not right. This letter's between me and him, and it should stay that way. My brother Chuck, he loved me in his own way. He loved me as a brother. He did not love me as a lawyer. Big reason I became a lawyer was Chuck. He was the most brilliant man I ever knew.
But he was too stupid to see. The committee made up its mind 10 minutes ago.
Chicanery? And all my life, I wanted to make him proud.
That is true.
I thought you were proud of me. And he was not an easy man to make proud.
That is also true.
Oh, correspondence school.
Like climbing Everest without supplies.
They're hiding that backwards A from us this time.
For a guy like me to live up to the standards of Charles McGill, I mean, look at me. I'll never be as moral as him. I'll never be as smart. I'll never be as respected. I'll never be as good as Chuck. But I can try. If you decide and I get to be a lawyer, I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of the name McGill.
Kim has been waiting for Jimmy to open up and pour his heart out like this ever since Chuck's death. It's gotta feel great for her to finally see true sincerity.
And if you decide I'm not a lawyer, doesn't matter. I'll still try to be the best man that I can be. I'm lucky. I got this letter. I never had a chance to write him a letter and to tell him all the things that I should have. And I gotta believe that somehow he knows. That'll have to do it for me. Thank you.
I knew you could do it. He has to reinstate you. Right?
Yeah. Did you see those suckers? That one asshole was crying. He had actual tears.
So did Kim, who now also feels like a sucker.
It's the first time that Jimmy has scammed Kim, and he doesn't seem to know that he did it.
Peter, Vincent, Tom said it's notable he was willing to pull a heartstrings con, which he feels is the lowest kind of con based on this.
You pulled that heartstrings con job on me? You piece of shit! I started reading the letter, and I could tell by their faces it wasn't gonna be enough, right? So I just went off. It was like improv or jazz, and then boom, I sunk the hook in. I'm lucky. So lucky. I got this letter. God, I could see the Matrix. I was invincible. I could dodge bullets, baby.
It is way too early to be talking like this so loudly.
That is tomorrow talk.
He did tap into real emotion, though, which contributed to his great acting performance, unlike his earlier bad acting.
And you were right. You were right. It was all about Chuck. the whole time.
Kim was basically the mastermind behind Operation Sincerity Pass, and he thought this was a natural part of it. He had no idea she'd fall for it, otherwise he wouldn't have revealed it so callously.
He says, Kim, you were right. You were right. In other words, in his mind, Kim was very much a part of this little plan. She gave him the idea. Shouldn't she be very proud that her plan worked so well? In a way, he's doing what she told him to do.
Mr. McGill, there's some good news.
Just believe me, I already know.
Oh, good. There's some paperwork for you to sign.
Of course, it's ironic he was being punished for being insincere when he thought he was being sincere. Then he gets rewarded for blatant insincerity, the opposite of what the suspension was supposed to teach him.
Oh, and sweetheart, I'm gonna need one more form.
Sweetheart? That feels a bit forced, but it's very Saul.
DBA, because I'm not gonna be practicing under the name McGill.
So much for...
I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of the name McGill.
He instantly dropped the act no matter what it might look like, kind of like Mike earlier.
Pull the transcript on the last call to his wife.
Wait, Jimmy, what?
It's all good, man.
Goodbye Season 4 and goodbye Jimmy McGill. With Mike killing for Gus and Jimmy now officially becoming Saul Goodman Esquire, both men in these parallel storylines have taken a major step toward becoming the men we meet in Breaking Bad. Mike's ending parallels the end of Breaking Bad Season 3.
You don't have to do this.
Yeah, unfortunately I do, Walter.
And Jimmy's ending parallels the end of Breaking Bad Season 4.
I won.
With the main character shocking their significant other with their true nature. It's the end of the season, so let's check in on the counters. In these counts, I'm adding 2 missed colorful references.
Oh, Sir Francis. I've fallen and I can't get up.
2 missed montages. A missed Howard clearing the room.
You can go.
A missing Saul saying his own name.
Of course, they all know me as Saul Goodman.
And no,
Saul Goodman
doesn't count. A missing sheep, as I forgot shepherds counted.
Did Clarence get the Alpine Shepherd boy?
And a missing can't hear behind glass, which only counts for important conversations, so the background people in Wiedersehen still don't count. Whew, balance has been restored, for now. Like last season, I put a link in the description for Super Pro Soldiers' updated chicanery count. Congratulations and thanks to the new
2-year members.
Ezra Navon, Property of Bacon, Daniel C., Austin Nathan, Purple Fury 3412, Chemo, Augustine Favara, and Don Dratt. And here are the new
1-year members.
EZZ, Grady Hamilton, PETA62, Yomi FGC, Hignazio, Danny, Lato, Megabird 93, Ovo, All-Star Rider, Dogfish, Gilad Hudson Zoniker, Dapper Husky, Millie 7119, 158 Podcast, Tristan Ventura, Classy, Dante X, Joey Guevara, Plu, Midnight Toker, Daggerfall, Jaden, Jonathan Lawrence, Bay Execute, Kofi, Rami Zunal, Daniel Therian, John McDonald, Robo, Highball, Jack Rennie, The Dabbler, Mufin, Zogma, Sequeaks, Matthias German Acosta, Maxim Mayer, The Grand Wazoo, Starling Song, Jolene, Zergrashetti, Mantis Toboggan, DeHerto, Sean Too Cool, Andrew Whitehurst, Startoon Demir, Joey T Does Things, P13, Litza, Arctic Fleshfods, Enelaps, Moozmoos, Updating Zero, Dumbdoor, Ingslet and Ulven, Turning the Tables, Wubs, SS Melody, Anthrax Plus, Harry S, Fresh, Yasha, Slade Dixon, Leo, Undead Zebra, Can, Piecha 15, Kevin and Loren, Admiral Jacrispy, Chris Hunter, Church, Othi, Darren, Hiccup 3311, Oceanity, Ricardo Sensi Fabri, Amaraz, Lantier, Mikau Kush, Galaxy's Worst Bounty Hunter, and Polo Botki. I want to fix my pronunciation of Quetzalcoatl, Jay-Z Spade, and Israel Alderetti. And here are the new
6-month members.
Yuppel, Julia Rodriguez, Yanjanu, Cowboy Kisser, Daddy Dicknuts, Charlotte, Pyramid, Clankerman 64, Taken, Demorsel, Captain Hall, Gorby, Lonely Rolling Star, Xchea, Mr. Williams, Cookie Claire, Blurk, Defifa Gamma, Cotton, Milanu, G was here, Salons, Nathan Dang, Monkey Mode, Jossie, Michael Aguilar, Newport, Fly Trap Scrap, Jerem, Tyfly, Neil, Victor Camargo, Andrew G, McSpooky, Rich the Bish, Smonkey Won't Beat Ya, Pickle Kudakami, Eric Walter, TG Taps, EHS, Ultra Ats, Willie B, Bunte, Kimmy, Alessandro W. Smith, AFC 19034 Life, Tori, Braden, Dylan Chase, Mochi CD, Garip Sobin, Adam Simon, Andy Franco, Danny Bruce, New 93V, Derpins, Mario DJ, Firetoast 2, Eddie Saya, Andrew LaRose, Yessie, Will, Packin' W Sooner, Ryan Yaya, Young Cam, Camo here, Timigeddon and Serotonin Feel, Cowhug, Ziorni Adrian, Vincent Hernandez, Zachary Ailes, Coolroff, Nicholas Ciencio, Pizza Dotrar, Pinto, and Arla. Next time, it's going to be El Camino following release order, but it is going to take longer, so make sure you're subscribed and I'll be posting updates. Notice how it's lighter out.
Out there about 200 yards. You better clean it up.
Is that weird?
No, you can't go yet. Paul, is everything okay?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Oh shit!
I can tell he's shaking
Yeah,
his
yeah,
head.
yeah.
Going.
And then as he's talking, just block his face with it. Okay.
Boom.
Okay.
What is it? It's the victory. Yeah, let's do it again.
In a minute, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10. No, my English is not good enough to improvise longer.
Shit. Fuck. Piss.
Fuck that plane.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I will be right in time. There, I will. Fuck you. Oh shit.
Fucking Tommy.
I was gonna do a Michael. Maybe more like The Godfather. Michael, is that you? How cool am I?
That was nice coverage.